Hi, welcome back. You know when you watch your bookshelves, like my bookshelves right there, and you see a book and you're like, oh my God, I really should read that one. I want to read that one. I know I will like that one. However, that book is also the most intimidating thing of all. That's me with Babel. I know I just said that you're watching your bookshelves and then I pull up my Kobo Clara. This is a book I've been debating about buying the physical thing, reading it, just enjoying it for so long. But this book has so much hype and so much discourse around it, and the author, Kuang, I was so intimidated up until now. This is definitely a very, very long book. This is a historical fantasy. It talks about translations as a means of magic. And I am a translator. I am a scientific translator, so I only translate scientific articles and sometimes for my university website. I am not a novel translator. That is very, very different. They are just two different paths of translation. But however, I'm so interested in this book because everybody has a very, very strong opinion about it. Those who don't like it have so many reasons to not like it, and those who like it, they really, really like it. And just the other day, one of my dear friends was like, yeah, for my book club, we're reading Babel this month. Do you want to join? And I was like, yes, perfect timing. So this is going to be the week or the weeks or the month, because this is a very long book, that I read the most intimidating book on my TBR. I am so excited. Kuang is an author that is, I think, very polarizing. I only read Yellowface, a part of Yellowface. I DNF'd that book because I don't think it was doing anything for me, for the mood that I was in. I'm so excited about this though. I really cannot wait. Yeah, let's start Babel. Oh my God! This is a terrible angle, but if I do any of the other angles in my room, it feels like there's Jesus peering down. I am 56 pages into Babel, and so far, I am intrigued. There are some instances in which Kuang falls for the oldest trick in the book and tells us everything that is happening instead of showing us. And there's a lot of exposition all together, which it's kind of like a wall of text. It's all interesting. There's also, I didn't know that, but there are notes, like footnotes. I hate those. I know some people are going to crucify me for this, but I don't like those at all. I think footnotes in books, especially in novels, are fun when the protagonist is actually writing the book. So it's a meta-narrative in which he is also, or she is also, or they are also writing the footnotes. When it's the author adding it, I don't like them at all. I didn't like it in Nevernight. I don't like them. I do not. Especially if they are used to explain things that could have been put into the text. I think it's a cheap way to create world building, and it was that way with J. Christoph. I think it's this way into Babel. They are very sparse, so there's not a lot of them, but still, I don't really like them. Especially because Kuang uses them sometimes to add context to the characters, which I would have loved to hear maybe in a little chapter that she added at the end. And she also cites all of her sources. Do a bibliography at this point. I don't like them in the footnotes, especially because I'm reading it on Kobo. And sometimes I'm like, okay, I'll click on the footnote. Tell me something interesting. And it's just, this I got from this book. And I'm like, God damn it, now I have to go back. The story so far is very interesting. They just arrived at the college at Oxford, and Robin already has one friend. I hope their friendship blooms. That's very, very sweet, especially because they are the only non-traditionally white British kids in there. Look who joined me. Ciao, amore. But see what I mean with the notes? I am on note F for this chapter. I am on page 57, and the protagonist Robin is reading Jane Austen, which, you know, a little bit of pandering to the reading community, of course. But he has to ask Mistress Piper, where is Antigua and why does Sir Thomas Bertram always go there? And then the note F, if you click it, you go to the author saying, because he has slaves there. Why couldn't you make either the protagonist Robin find out that he goes there for the slaves, or just, you cannot tell us. The people who are going to know, and the other ones are probably going to Google that. I don't know why she put that there.
5 minutes later.
Oh, also, a very not so fun thing. I was listening to the audiobook in Italian, and I was like, they are not reading the footnotes. So I discovered that in the original English audiobook, they have a different narrator for the footnotes, especially because a lot of the footnotes are about the Chinese words, because Robin is Chinese. And the Italian translation has all of the footnotes there correct in the text, but in the audiobook, they don't read it. They do not read the footnotes. So I have to go back and check them if I'm listening to the audiobook, which I think it's so weird. Long time no see. I spent the past few days just working, and also reading Babel. I am, wait, because I went on with the audiobook, and I know that I'm further in than I think I am. Okay, I am 34% into Babel, and I can't say that I truly like it. There are a lot of things that I actually like about the book. I don't hate it. I obviously don't hate it. It's not a badly written book. There are some problems that I'm having, especially with the writing and the world building. And I just listened to an interview of Kuang, and she's talking about her process in world building, and she said that she actually doesn't really like world building in her books, and that it's not her priority, and that it's not a thing that she feels like it comes naturally to her. And I think you can tell it's very clunky, and it's done in info dumps. They're not all at the beginning, they're not all together, but it's still info dumpy enough that I think I'm finding it heavy on the text. Also, it's a lot of telling you how people are behaving and interacting instead of showing it to you. The friendship between these 4 students, so Robin, Victoire, Letty, and Rami, it feels very flimsy because everything that they've bonded over was told to us instead of showing it to us. A lot of the time, RF Kuang will tell you, oh, and then in the next weeks, they bonded over this, and they will come to be the best friends in the entire world. And you're like, well, could you show it to me? Maybe. Also, I asked a non-spoilery comment on my TikTok for the people who followed me, and I was like, you know, my taste is from my footprint online. Do you think I'm going to like Babel? And did you like it? A lot of the people told me that the first half is good, and then something happens that makes everything goes out of the rails. I'm very interested to know what that thing is, because I am 35% into it, so not really halfway through. I still don't like the notes. I don't like them. I think they break the narration. I don't like what they're adding to the story. I think they shouldn't be there. We'll see each other at the halfway point when the crazy thing happened, and I'll tell you what I'm thinking about it. It feels like this is not going to be a 5 stars, but I still want to finish it and see how they're going to dismantle the British Empire, apparently.
The next day.
Good morning. I finally passed the halfway point of Babel. Yay! I am officially 8 hours in a 16-hour audiobook because I'm listening to it on 1.5 speed. I think it's 23 hours in total at a normal speed. I don't like this. It's not that I don't like the book. I don't like the situation that we're in, and I don't know why the plot is going in that direction. It's not that it's unnatural for the way that things are going. We are not in Babel anymore. We are taking a voyage in another place, and I don't really like how this voyage was described. Also, I think the passage of time is one of the least well-handled things. Because at one point, Robin is like, yeah, we've been here 3 years. I was like, 3 years? 3 years. What do you mean 3 years? Hasn't it been like maximum a year? Like the passage of time, I think, was handled not really that well. We don't see the changing of the season. We don't see almost anything except for the exams that they take in Babel. So I knew that they were 3rd years, but the time that has passed hasn't passed in my mind. Especially because I think the characters outside of Robin are all the same. Not the same between each other, but the same from the beginning up to this year. They haven't matured at all. They haven't changed at all. And especially in this voyage that they're all taking, all the core group of friends, a lot is told to us. A lot of the way that their relationships are changing after something that has happened is completely told to us. There are paragraphs upon paragraph of the author telling you this is what happened and this is what changed and this is how they're doing and what they're talking about. And I just think that's either poor writing or poor planning of your novel, because those are the core parts that you need to build an interesting story, or at least not an interesting story because there is an interesting background that's always present. A solid story. It feels very flimsy because the characters are very flimsy. Outside of Robin, maybe Rami, but not so much. We don't have a full-fledged 3D character in this book, which is such a shame. We'll see how things develop now they have arrived. I don't know what is going to happen because I did not expect the plot to go in this direction, but we'll see. Hello, I am 70% of the way through Babel. I don't like this at all. I don't like this direction of the book at all because it's not what it was set up from the beginning. So many new things have been introduced in the halfway point, and I think it's too many. It's too many storylines. Right now, we are in the middle of a discount version of The Secret History, but it's not set up well because that's not what the whole half, like the whole beginning half of the book is setting up to. And I think that's such a shame. There have been so many passages in which I clearly can understand that Kuang is a very good writer, but has no idea about what other countries were going through geopolitically. During the same time, there are so many historical inaccuracies when she's talking about other countries that are not like Great Britain, America, or China. To tell you a few, because my mother country is Italy, so I know a lot about that. Italy was not a country. L'Unità d'Italia, or the unification of Italy, is almost 50 years later. Italian was not the official language. There was no such a thing as Italian at the time. The embers of what modern Italian is right now, yes, sure, they were there. Only in the later century we could talk about the Italian language, but right now, absolutely not. And they talk about Italian as it is in the modern sense. At one point, they encounter European flags. What are European flags? Just like France? It's so bizarre. Everything is so well researched when it comes to Oxford, and all of the things that have been moved time-wise have been explained in the beginning by the author, but everything else is just... Is she actually that clueless about geopolitics in the 1840s outside of the country? Does she not know? Especially because this is a book that talks about language. Right now, they haven't been talking about translation at all for like 200 pages. It becomes just like a backdrop to another set of plot. Letty's characterization is so inconsistent because she's talked about as somebody who is very good at not really lying, but camouflaging herself to better fit the situation that she's in to get the information that she wants, because she has been separated from her friends socially for a month. They have been icing her out for good reasons, of course, for good reasons, but they have been icing her out. And these three are the only friends that Letty has. And at one point she has an outburst and Robin's like, oh, why is she the one crying when we are the one in a tough situation? Because you put her also in a tough situation. It's understandable for the both of you to be upset, especially after what happens at the halfway point. A lot of the secondary characters and by that I mean everybody who's not Robin, have been reduced to just caricatures of what they represent for the story. And they, whatever three-dimensionality they had gained before, especially Rami, they just lose it completely. Do not get me started on Victoire talking about capital and Marxist ideas. Do not get me started. That was so bad. That was just bad. That was just plain bad writing. I'm starting to think that this is not going to be a 4-star book. Could be a 3 stars or a 2 stars. Entirely depends on what they're going to do at the ending. The story got away from R.F. Kuang's hands, I think. Hello. I just went to vote for my country. Feels great. It won't feel great tomorrow when I know the results. I am at 93%. There are so many things that irk me about this because I really like what thematically and plot-wise is happening. I really like that we got here. I don't like the whole part that was before what is happening at the end, especially because right now the pacing completely all over the place. The whole of book 5, because this book is split into books, the whole of book 5 is a pause in the pacing that was going steady, and then everything stopped. We are going at a leisure pace. Everything is not fine, but like we're just talking and waiting, and talking. I get that maybe that's more realistic, but narrative-wise, that's a disaster. I sent it to my friend that is reading this book with me, and another one of our friends has started reading this book, and she is a language and linguistics major. She is not having a good time at all. But yesterday night, I sent to my friend there was a chapter that had 4 pages of notes. And at that point, I'm like, I'm sorry, what are we doing? So many of those informations were completely redundant because we either already got them from this story, from the text, or are completely superfluous. It feels like the author just showing off. I like what is happening. I don't like the way that they're going about it at all, especially with the characters. I just don't like it at all. It's maybe a good book, but it's not a good novel. Let's just say that. I'll do my final review at the end. It's such a shame. Yeah. You can't actually see, but this is the situation. Okay. This is my dog's tail. Never mind. I have like the epilogue left, and then I finished Babel. I don't know what to feel, especially because 2 minutes ago, one of my friends, the one who is studying Asian anthropology, has started reading this book, and she sent me 7 minutes of audio of all the things that she doesn't like about the beginning of Babel. So nobody that chose this book for the book club is enjoying it. And we're all very different people from different backgrounds with different majors, and I don't know, that doesn't sound good. So let's finish Babel. I can see that this epilogue is from another point of view. Yeah, let's finish it. I finished it. I think this last chapter was one of the most interesting things that R.F. Kuang put into the book, and it's an incredible shame that this is the last chapter. Everything, all these information we just get at the end, what is the point then? Is there anything more? No, I finished it. If I think about it now, I think it's a 2.5 stars book. I thought it was going to be a lot better. This is my final comment. I thought it was going to be a lot better. I'll see you tomorrow, though, so that I can articulate my thoughts better. Don't you cry no more. Hey! So I finished Babel. It was a journey. It was an unfortunate journey because I don't think I like this book much at all. No, that's not true. That's actually not true. There were many parts of Babel that I truly did enjoy. The first part, I think, was the best one. Whatever happens after what happens at the halfway point is just, I think, plain insanity. And then the ending kind of redeems itself, because what happens, very, very cool, very interesting. But there were so many elements that just made me grimace. The writing was so heavy-handed. The characters were completely one-dimensional. They have been reduced to just their stereotypes, which was what I think the author really didn't want to happen, but she used them as their stereotypes because everything is told to us, nothing is shown. And that's, I think, the cardinal rule of good writing. You have to show people what you mean in the story and not tell them, if possible. The footnotes were unbearable at times because the narrator keeps going, omniscient, third person in the head of the character, omniscient. So who's talking? Who's talking? There were so many historical inaccuracies that weren't explained by the means of the story changing. And there were so many linguistics mistakes. It was very, very surprising to see that outside of English and Chinese, R.F. Kuang's research was very bare bones about the other countries and their languages and the history of those languages. I've talked about this enough. I think I'm going to give this 2.5 stars. I am currently writing a review for Goodreads. It's so long. And I was talking to one of my friends who read the Poppy Word trilogy and really, really enjoyed it, and then is hating this book a lot, much quite like me. And she was like, yeah, Robin's character arc, because it's not an arc, I explained it, it's just flat, is very reminiscent to what happens in the Poppy Word trilogy. It's the same kind of arc, but there it happens in 3 books. It's very much built upon. Here is just so sudden and not explained well, because you can have a character that through a very intense trauma flips a switch, but you have to explain it, you have to show it. And I just think that if R.F. Kuang had waited a couple more years to get the writing up to par to what the story can be, I think it would have benefited the story very much, especially because the themes were all there. It was just a matter of execution. Because I don't think this is a bad book, but it is a bad novel. This was one of my most intimidating books, and I'm still glad I read this. This is not a 1 star at all. This is a 2.5 star. It's almost a 3. I wouldn't say that I don't recommend this. I would say read this if you know what you're getting into, and it's a very dense book, very heavy-handed. I'm still glad I read this. I'm still glad this is off my TBR, and I'm also glad that I can now participate in the cultural conversation around it. I cannot wait to talk about it with all of my friends that are currently reading this. I'm so glad we read this together. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you can, I don't know, participate in a constructive conversation with me about Babel, and I'll see you in the next one. I have some socials, they're down below. It's fun time there, especially on TikTok, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye! Mwah!